abusuafo ma memo bibia kwa ba na me form bra platform we eso. Solomon Owusu director of communications edema UP Alan Kojochire Mantin ni party no United Party. Samson Suhini enso NDC I think so or a member of parliament but say odie cross check na media mamo. And Ivan Kyei Innocent a political analyst. Abusuafo ni na Ghana nkomo na nsinya so mo behwa transport ministry ensensem bi ekoso ewo Ghana eba no ya hyenka eni buses ne saa nyema na nsinya me hu video bi ana circulate ewo social media ewo Ashanti region Kumasi to be precise ni na na hawa KMA for omu team any mates any driver be have a conversation on lorry fare issues. Now we and Ministry of Transport aba montin so abekasa afin so Ken Ofurata any Sedinam Temokulu omu extradition from United States of America to Ghana and so underway. Abusia sankomo yi na Ivan Kyei Innocent why then oni yewura Solomon Owusu aka bom na omo abobo ho na omo akire omo adwin ewo Joy Prime. In fact yebekọ ne akuti nsem ni bi but answer na yebekọ no Suhini no Alhassan Suhini oye member of parliament the National Democratic Congress NDC member of parliament for Tamale North. What you say Tamale North
Solomon, I mean, from your party, I'm sure you've been observing the conversation, you've been observing this challenge. What's your position on this? What do you think is the way forward?
Good morning. The way forward is that, first of all, we must manage the economy well. We are failed from a planning perspective. If you look at how we develop our various settlements in this country, is the basis of the problem that we are having. Our government should have taken that bold initiative of controlling how developments took place. For instance, Accra has not gotten to a place where we must be building in Amasama. You understand? You go to North Kandishi, Kokomlemle that you are, Adaraka, what sort of quality buildings do we have? You understand? So if we were going to put up story buildings within the CBD district, it will prevent people from moving out of the country. That's the first point. The second point has to do with we over-concentrating on one aspect of transportation, which is road transport. I mean, nowhere in this world, all the cities that are functioning properly in terms of their transportation needs, they do all the transport systems. I mean, at the primary level, you were taught that we had about 4 types of transportation. Road, rail, water, and air. How many of it is at play here? Those that have traveled. I will not even take you to Europe and then America for us to be saying that why are you comparing Ghana to Europe and America? Go to Cairo. Yeah. You go to Johannesburg. Everybody knows that they have metro. What is preventing this country from having a metro system? That's a system that will be moving from the 4. We are even lucky, we have only 4 outlets. Accra in Sawam, Accra Uyarifa, Accra Tema. I think the last one should be Kaswa. What is preventing it? So the solution being proffered by the Vice President is not the solution.
We need the 300 buses.
It is going to create more problems, and it's also even going to increase incidents of corruption. But I'm coming there.
But it's a question of not having enough public buses.
That is not the case, because you see...
I mean, the Metro Mass director mentioned it.
That is not the case.
From 1,000 to just...
It's an avenue for chop. Take it from me. I'm a transporter myself. It's an avenue for corruption. And I will explain to you why Ayalolo buses are not functioning. You understand? Every morning, we have one CB, the Central Business District. So most of us are moving towards a particular spot. So if you bring 1,000 buses onto the road and you carry passengers towards one direction, what is going to mean that you are going to promote a lot of traffic on the road. They will spend more hours before they go and offload these workers and get back. By that time, people are still queued at the trotro stations. So that is not the solution to it. Get the rails working alongside the road so that the two would be working side by. You think if the rail is working properly, people are interested in coming all the way from Amasaman and driving or boarding a bus. They will go by the rail.
Yeah, but except in the interim, you cannot build railways, say, in the next 1 month. But you need to solve this at least. You need to provide some temporary measures until we fix the railway system. We need buses to offload people, because what people are complaining about is that there are no buses. They are queuing for long. Nobody is coming to pick them.
You see, the buses get stuck in the traffic. That's the point, because the buses that were operating in December, November, October of last year, they have not been sold. The buses are available. What has happened is that more people are coming to the city. Now the city is choked. When the buses get to Accra, they take longer time in getting back. And that is why they have devised that strategy of from Tudu to say Circle. They know very well that they are going to Amasaman. Tudu to Circle, they will charge you. They drop you at Circle, then they start shouting at Chimota for you to get on, because they also want to maximize their returns from it. So it's not about the buses that are not available, but it's because we are all going to one direction. It tells you that we must begin to redefine our CBDs. Why must we have all our ministries concentrated in one place? Why? Someone must convince me why all these ministries must be concentrated in one place. So you have the ministries there. You have adjoining it is Okanshi, which is also a business center. Then you have what's the name again? Makola. So everyone is going towards one direction in Accra, and it is replicated in all the regional capitals. You go to Kumasi, every morning everyone is heading towards the Edum area. So what do you think will happen? And all of us are relying on the road. And so that is not the issue. Then again, the buses that they want to buy, I want to plead with President Mahama and the administration that they must not let these Metro Mass people, those over there together with the Ayalolo or whatever, go and procure these buses for us. At best, they must guarantee for the private sector to go and buy their buses and come and run it. I tell you, if they don't do that, buses that are supposed to cost only 10,000, these people will give it to us 100,000. It is the reason why you have a lot of the Ayalolo buses parked. The Ayalolo buses, interestingly, we were involved. We were part of those that brought Scania to this country. Go and ask how much each bus cost or costed the nation. They inflated the price times five. So at the end of the month, how much they are supposed to pay back as a repayment, they couldn't generate enough. All goes into the repayment, and they are left with almost nothing for maintenance. And the cost of maintaining these buses at Scania is not cheap. So if you are paying back your loan, using all the money you are mobilizing to pay back the loan, and you are not left with nothing to maintain, when buses get broken, how are you going to fix them? That is why they are there. You know that the average lifespan of any Scania bus is 20 years. That's minimum. When you are doing even moderate maintenance. These buses were procured in 2016. Why is it that about 50% are broken?
maybe that's a question we will ask Kamaldeen in his party, why they allowed it to break down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe because, I mean, let me come to Ivan. I mean, you can relate to a large extent to what most of these young people are saying, because you do hear from many other young people, and it does appear that that's the narrative. They're struggling. The government is trying to bring 300 buses. Solomon said that's not the way to go.
Yes, I think it's quite unfortunate watching the scenes unfold on various screens. We've been watching them on social media and other TV screens, and it's quite disappointing that commuters will have to go through such a hassle to get to their various destinations. Looking at this particular problem, I think, just like Solomon said, I agree with him. We fail to plan, and it's the reason why we are where we are today. Like he rightly mentioned, if you go to our neighboring countries, like if you go to Morocco, Casablanca, they have some of these nice buses and train that take people around. And I think if over the years we had concentrated on some of these aspects by maximizing the options that we had, maybe we would have been able to take care of some of these challenges. But that notwithstanding, looking at the current challenge, I think we need to come up with certain short-term measures to address the challenge, because this is no time to be thinking about going to build, train, and whatever. And I think that is where the option being proposed by the Vice President is quite an ideal one, considering the current situation that we have, because there is a crisis. What do? You need to address it before you move to the next chapter to look at a long-term solution. And so for me, procurement of the buses and government attempt to deal with the situation is a way of bringing an immediate relief to the people, because some of the drivers have taken advantage of the situation, just like they rightly said. They don't even want to go to the station where people queue up. They're just running around town, picking people, creating a congestion, and which has also brought some sort of a Christmas prize for those who will go there, charge at their own rate, and then at the end of the day, bring this kind of thing to commuters. For me, it's a challenge, but we must also be looking at the long term and the other alternatives that are available for us. For instance, the rail that they mentioned, I see no reason why, if you look at how Accra has expanded and how choked it has become, and if you look at our roads in the morning, you barely takes about 2 hours to get to your various destination. You understand? And for me, that is a challenge that we are not looking at. So as a country, we need to prioritize and look at the various options that are available for us. For instance, why is it that everybody will have to drive to central business town Accra? People drive to work. Government can come up with an initiative where we may have buses for government workers. Those coming to Accra, you wake up in the morning, you park your car at home, you join the bus. These buses should be able to offer such convenience for people to travel at ease, so that people will not be traveling. Everybody traveling in their own car, creating this kind of
privacy and convenience.
Yeah, I understand, but we have a challenge, and our objective is looking at how we can address some of these challenges. People drive to work because there are no available alternatives. You understand? If you go to Europe, people have cars, but they decide to park it home and join train because other means are available. But the problem here is that none is available. And if you look at some of the throttle, they may not be convenient for some people to join. But if there is other option that is quite convenient, I think that will be enticing and people will join. And also we'll be looking at the other alternative like train from Achimota to Accra. Sometimes we could have come up with some other means of transporting people via train to Accra without going through such a hustle. These things are often seen in the morning. In the evening after work, it's another hustle, you understand? So for me, I think it's a major challenge that people are going through, and the governance, one of the best way is to ease the challenge that is very immediate, affecting the people. And I think that is the thing that we need to focus now. But very often, we are very reactionary in our approach dealing with some of these challenges, because I'm not sure that this is the first time some of these things are popping up. But it comes, we gather on TV, we speak to it, and then we move on. The next chapter will come and then we speak to it. I think we need to move from the reactionary phase to a more actionable phase, where we come up with pragmatic long-term solution that will deal with some of these challenges, that we may not come back once again in the next days to come and discuss some of these challenges, because it's a real challenge, and we need to elevate such a conversation beyond the frontiers of partisan politics, because we are all guilty. That is why I started by saying we fail to plan, and it's the reason why we're here. If you look at Accra, how choke it is, let us come up with other alternatives, you understand? And those alternatives for me is going to help, and one of the immediate way of resolving some of these things, coming out with buses that will transport people to various workplaces at ease, so that there will be certain sort of enticement for people to park their cars at home. And again, if you look at a central business town, if you go to the central London, there are places, if you want to go there in the morning, you have to pay more to enter, you understand? And I think such introduction will also help us here, because people drive to the central business town sometimes for nothing, you understand?
Yeah.
So I think if you come out with some levy, that will also deter people from taking up some of these places, and we'll be able to reduce how choked the system has become. So for me, I think it's a short-term and then a long-term kind of this thing. That
you're just talking about plan. In fact, I think if there's one thing that you can credit Ghana for, is that we have the plans. It's about the implementation. In fact, there's a document that was put together by the National Development Planning Commission, the Transport Infrastructure Framework, and it gives vivid details relative to how to address our transport
even a national transport plan.
Yeah, there's a national transport policy plan, which was, of course, put together in 2020. So we have the plan, but the implementation of it is the challenge. Now, let me come to you, Kama. I mean, we saw quite a number of interventions during the government. I think the latter part of it, we saw the introduction of the electric buses, about 50 of them. I understand there was the next phase that was supposed to come. There was also an initiative or an attempt to introduce the Sky Train, and today we know what that has become. It's become a scandal. So, yes, there was a move. There was an attempt to try and introduce that. It was part of an attempt to, improve mobility within the urban center. But we know what that has culminated into now. People have to answer questions in court for that. I mean, the ideas were brilliant, but clearly the implementation were problematic. And even Ayaya Lolo, for instance, the former John Mahama, when he left in 2016, handed it over to you. It was a brilliant idea, all right? The rapid bus transport. But then now we hear that quite a number of them are now, looking to be repaired, and the dedicated lanes that were put together to try and make these things, effective didn't work. Why didn't you give us a good plan? Because today we wouldn't be talking about this if, something solid had come from you.
You succeeded in contradicting yourself this morning, Ms. Bao, and I have to draw your attention to it. Why didn't you give us a good plan? And in the next breath, you were telling us that in 2020 we developed a comprehensive plan. You said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah, but
that's something you said.
Yeah, but we saw you try to implement
let me proceed.
Yeah, but we saw you try to implement it.
I am saying that, and in one breath, the MPP government made sure that we had a comprehensive transport plan or transportation plan for this country. Then, of course, at the tail end of your question to me or your submission, you say, why didn't you give us a good plan?
Yeah, a good plan that the people can feel. People can relate. The plan was just left in the books for us.
I thought we were going to discuss this dispassionately.
Yeah.
However, when politics comes in a bit, you will have to clear certain mischief when it arises. When you look at strategically, the growth of the public sector transport in this country, it is always the NPP that think deep about it.
How so?
Why? The metro mass that we are now priding ourselves with was born by the NPP. Popularly called the Kufuor buses. We thought that we needed to revolutionize the public sector transportation to ensure that at least at the end of the day, every single person who is commuting on our roads is sorted.
That is not accurate.
It's very accurate.
You know
why? I am saying, please, just have a clue. I'm saying the metro mass was actually brought in by the NPP. That is not to say that we do not have a history.
Yeah, good.
It was under Helen Lima, that the Tata buses and the Osa buses, when the then Harry Sawyer was the transport minister, they introduced it. I'm aware of that. But I'm saying, from that time till 2000, when Kufuor came into power, the NPP sat down and thought and said, look, we have a history. This country, even the railways you're talking about, when you take Kwame Nkrumah's time to the other governments, a champion and all that, they had developed a plan for railways. But like you rightly said, plans are always on paper. But we do not try as much as possible to implement some of these things practically, which is quite bad. But like I said, we need to actually have this discussion without seriously bringing in politics.
But has anyone
if you really want to solve it, no, please, I've not said you've done that. if we as soon as we introduce, like Ivan said, as soon as we introduce partisanship in it, they suffer, I suffer, you suffer, our young people who are out there commuting day in, day out to school suffer. Our mothers who commute to the market suffer. Everybody suffers. Yeah. So when we sit here and reduce the conversation to partisanship, we are doing a disservice.
Why do you think we have struggled to deal with it?
Let me agree with Solo's submission.
Yeah.
When he says that we need to strategically decentralize. Having a single CBD, which is a central business district, it's not helpful. Take a Greater Accra, for instance. We have places like Shai Osudoku, places like Kasua. Okay, Kasua is central region anyway, but let's even come close to Malam, wherever that is within Greater Accra, those districts and municipalities around. I saw a model in Saudi Arabia. And I was asking myself, why can't we have such a model? If you're looking for mobile phones, there's a particular district, business district you go, only mobile phones and accessories.
Same in UAE.
And you have no business going towards a single place. If you're looking for groceries, tomatoes and all those things, there is a market for it dedicated. So for example, when we take Nima market or Malata market, develop it for groceries. Okay, then you go say, for example, Greater Accra, fish market is there. That is there. So people will not wake up and everybody will be rushing and trooping to one particular place to get what they want. Now you would have succeeded in ensuring that you create more channels for your transportation needs. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to ease the traffic situation in your country. Now, two, our inner city roads. Our inner city roads. Every government comes and say, look, I am declaring the year of roads. This one say, I am doing a big push. This one say, I am doing that. All rhetorics, mostly. We end up doing nothing. I checked the budget of the Ministry of Roads, and it's just about 5.3 billion Ghana cedis. And out of that, they'll be paying for old contractors. They'll be paying new contractors for new jobs. They will surely complain that it's inadequate. I checked the budget of Ministry of Transport. It's just 1.3 billion Ghana cedis for 2026. Ministry of Transport, just 1.3 billion, and he has to deal with sea. He's dealing with air. At the same time, dealing with what? Okay, aviation ministry take care of air, but of course, dealing with the sea and dealing with the land and dealing with rail.
Is it dealing with aviation?
Aviation is part of it. Very well. And you have given 1.3 billion allocation to such a ministry for policy planning and implementation. How are they going to work? We will end up talking and talking and talking and talking, doing nothing. So I think that this decentralization thing that we spoke about is so important. I think that the Ministry of Roads and Highways should also consider getting our inner city roads fixed. My brother who spoke earlier spoke about he living in Ashoma Estate, or was it Ashoma Estate? Very well. Go to Ashoma Estate. Take the main road, and then as soon as you take a detour to go into Ashoma Estate, it's terrible. Okay? So the trotro driver or the private person who has his vehicle, who cares about the suspension of his car, will say, I will not even go there. Then you come to stand there for 1 hour, 2 hours without getting a vehicle because nobody wants to ply on those roads. Okay, so to solve some of these problems, we need to be very realistic about it. Let the government of the day tell us, the comment tell us, 2026 budget, inner city roads in Accra, we plan to do 84 kilometers. And of the 84 kilometers through urban roads, we are doing Ashoma Estate 3 kilometers. Strategically, we are doing this 4 kilometers. Put that together and aggregate it. By the end of the year, you will have done the 84 or the 100 kilometers within. The next year again, another budget comes and consider only inner city roads. When we have our roads fixed, that driver who was refusing to go to Ashoman or to go to Ashalebotwe or to go to whichever area, that driver will say, no, there are roads which are good there, I can fly there and of course get that. And the person who of course would have spent 1 hour or 2 hours looking for vehicle and not getting will also be sorted. Okay? Now we move to the railways to complement or to augment our fleets or whatever transport opportunities that we have in the market. I mean, railways is very essential. Government of the day, why can't you encourage, like Solo said, guaranteeing for the private sector instead of saying we want to build such infrastructure. I had the opportunity of driving from Istanbul to Bursa in Turkey, and it's about 334 kilometers or so. Now with a friend who is a Turkish, it is a first-class express road. So I asked him a question. I said, how is government funding? He said, no, government has no business in this road.
Business.
Completely. He said, these are private, yes. He said, these are private people who constructed it. All government does is to facilitate.
Absolutely.
Okay? And maybe tax, exemptions and all that. But what government does is that come and construct a road, then they put mechanisms in place for you to operate the road and pay yourself. So in his vehicle, he had this electronic device. That device is always charged like we charge our mobile phones. As soon as it is not charged, that you cannot have access on that road. So you prepay before you even use the road. So you understand? He goes to, that is the digitalization that we're talking about. He goes to pay for the usage of that road. And the money goes to pay the contractor who spent his money to construct such roads.
But in the case of Ghana, where you know the conditions of the ordinary Ghanaian, if you want to go to the OT region and implement this, you know, it's going to be very challenging for the people to even use the road, because the conditions of the people there clearly is different from the condition of the people in the area that you're talking about. So the realities of the Ghanaian people here, it might be quite challenging.
I disagree.
I mean,
it all boils down to leadership. Don't tell me OT region, the people in OT region are not interested in good roads.
They are interested.
Absolutely.
But this is a system of they should pay before they use it.
So I have a contractor who says that, look, Hamza is a contractor, my good self is a contractor, I'm a contractor, maybe Solo is a contractor. Okay, government comes up with a policy to say that, look, we want 3 or 4 consortiums coming together to construct the 400-kilometer road from Accra to Bimbila.
And toll it.
And toll it for this. And you tell me the people in OT will not be happy? No. There is nothing like that in place. What government is doing is now to say we are announcing that 30 billion Ghana cedi of our oil money is going to be used for big push. And what is the big push? We want to give contractors work to go out there and construct the roads, and then you don't have the money to give them for mobilization. They don't even equally have the money. But when the consortium put together, and then the bank see that they are serious people, they want to do this project, and then they evaluate it and realize that there will actually be returns, okay, and that there will be benefits out of it, the banks will be ready to support, and government will also support.
So one of the things we need to deal with has to do with the quality of the roads, and if they are alternative good roads, of course, the congestion in most of our roads will be reduced. But then another issue has to do, and fundamentally, and I'm hoping you can respond to that, having to do with the Ayalolo buses, of course, in 2016 when they were introduced. Clearly, they were probably one of the ideas that were intended to deal with, to improve urban mobility, all right? I mean, talk to me about what happened to Ayalolo.
What actually gave birth to Ayalolo? It was the BRT, policy that the President John Dramani Mahame's government actually gave birth. I think it started with Atamose's government, and then, of course, ran into John Dramani Mahame's first term. Okay? And I am told, I stand to be corrected, that they had some funding to implement such a project. Okay? It wasn't entirely the government of Ghana, basically. Again, they had some challenges. Okay? One, the roads that they wanted to even fix to ensure that the BRT buses, Ayalolo buses, have a designated routes did not work. They planned, of course, they planned that from Circle to, say, Achimota, there should be a particular route for BRT buses. That has never happened.
but
yet, you don't have the roads and you brought in the buses. That's one.
They did dedicate some lanes.
They did not. Look, let's be fair to ourselves. Implementation was problematic. What you needed to do, they did some. They had some. They took Kaneshi Road. The Kaneshi Road that we know on the Kaneshi stretch, Odoko stretch. That road is still what it is. Yet we are told that the BRT buses were dedicated on that line. Which particular lane was for the buses? Tell me. I drive on that lane. So did we lie to ourselves? I'm saying that if you did not put facilities in place You did not put mechanisms in place to ensure that the BRT system, which was a good system anyway, okay, works well. Any government that comes and meets such challenges, okay, would also have to suffer.
But it was, you had 8 years. You couldn't improve.
I listened to the Metro Mass interview guy that you interviewed, who said that, look, our problem are not buses. Or even the buses. If they are buses, we have about over 1,000 in our fleet. Over 1,000. But only 130 is what? Roadworthy.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be worried as a country of our maintenance culture. That we put people there to work, we employ people, and then they come to sit there. We use our money to go and procure buses, bring those buses in. Someone sits there, watch it, and call himself a transport manager of that company. Other person says, I am the engineer of that company. The other person says, I am the maintenance manager or whatever of that company. And yet those buses break down, and then nobody is actually questioned. And then we say we want money to go and buy new buses again. I could not have agreed more with Solo when he said that is not the solution.
Interesting. Let me
so finally, I think that the announcement by the vice president, even if they're going to procure the buses, the problem is not about the buses. The problem is how we can ensure that our maintenance culture is looked at and looked at properly.
Great. Let me come to I mean, you've heard a lot. And it appears that the 300 buses solution, yes, in the medium term, it's great, but on a long term, that should not be the way. Well, what's the long-term solution to this from what you said?
Good morning to you again, Ms. and of course, my colleagues in the studio. First of all, it is regrettable that we are at this stage as far as national transportation is concerned.
Yeah.
And so I think that on behalf of the ruling National Democratic Congress, it is only fair that I communicate to the good people of this country that we appreciate the challenges that they are faced with, especially when it comes to public transportation. We have been monitoring the spirited advocacy that your media platform is championing in that sector, intended to bring government institutions to the fire of accountability, if you would like, and also a constant reminder to public officials that indeed, when it comes to serving the good people of this country, we must not take it for granted. And so as a responsible government that appreciates the challenges in that sector, it is only fair that we assure the good people of this country that as part of the many excesses that we inherited and the promise to reset and fix many of these challenges, this government once more, with a proven track record, would do the needful in attempting to bring finality to this challenge. This is not the first time. Remember that under the first administration of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we woke up to that age-long unfortunate reality of Dumso, where the NDC government at the time had to bear the brunt of successive years of failure on the part of successive governments to invest in the energy sector. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama accepted responsibility and made a pledge to end Dumso. And I'm glad to state that at the time he was leaving office, the investments in the energy sector alone in terms of generation that we experienced we never experienced it since 1992. And not even the MPP in their wildest of political trajectory can undermine that. Despite the fact that in the last 8 years, they failed to even contribute 1 megawatt of power to that investments that were made. So today, His Excellency President Mahama and the NDC government, after another 8 years in opposition and back to government, is faced with the reality of transportation challenges, and we would have no excuse than to ensure that we at least leave it better than we came to meet, and we are committed to doing so. So my caution to those who are tasked with the responsibility of getting things right on behalf of the president is that Ghanaians are watching, and that we cannot afford to play with this challenge, because transportation is an important measure of economic well-being when it comes to the people of this country. And so in as much as we are working assiduously to get our economy back on track, it is connected, inextricably linked to the transport sector as well. And if we fail in the transport sector, be rest assured that no amount of economic rates that we throw out would make sense to the good people of this country, because that is the bedrock of the rural economy or the economy on the ground. Transportation, people have to move to do businesses. Time is an essential part of business success. And so we must begin to look at it. And I'm glad Her Excellency Vice President Professor Jane Nano Opoku-Agyeman has indicated that President Mahama is committed and the entire government is committed to finding a fix. But you see, coming back to the nitty-gritties of the issue, Ms. Bao, first of all, I agree with all of you that the challenge with this country has nothing to do with the plan. We have all the plans. The plans were developed even during the time of Nkrumah and the likes. And so if you look at our transportation sector, I think basically what is the problem is the implementation plan. In terms of policy-wise, we have all the policy plans in place, but implementation continues to be a problem. And I disagree with my brother for the first time, Sulu, when he makes the point that indeed government should move away from procuring the buses and rather empower the private sector to do so. One important thing that people take for granted is that, just like I indicated, that the transport sector is an economic sensitive zone we cannot take for granted. It is also part of the national security of a country. No country worth its salt must relinquish its role in public transport sector. It is not for nothing that if you go to places like the United Kingdom, indeed government is the major shareholder in many of the buses we see on the streets of London. Because in terms of a national disaster and the movement of people, government must not struggle in the hands of the private sector, especially when it comes to transportation. And so I can understand his concerns about the possibility of corruption in the procurement of these buses. But I still hold a strong view that the government of the day must lead that sector in terms of investment. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with government directing that there's a need for us to bring in more buses. What I would advise on this table, and hopefully the Transport Ministry takes it up, is to ensure that these buses are not procured solely by government. Government must bring private sector on board, those who are willing to partner government to be able to secure these buses. Because over the years where government procures them on their own right, and on the books of the consolidated fund, management has always been a problem. We have seen many other people in the private sector who procure their own buses, how they are able to effectively manage these buses and make profits. So it should be possible, like we experienced in London, for government to be able to have 60% control and 40% to the private sector. And when it comes to the management of these buses, government should offload the management of that arrangement to the private sector.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
For efficient handling. That's one. Secondly, Ms. Bao, you see, the problem over the years, in terms of regardless of the number of buses we bring in as a government, you would have a problem if your arrangements with these international partners, those who produce the buses, if you do not have a spare parts component of that particular transaction.
They do have that. It's just maintenance culture. They do have.
If you do not, you see, as part of the negotiations, when you procure the buses, if you are buying it from China, it should be possible for government to deliberately empower at least 2 or 3 businessmen, give them the needed guarantees to set up spare parts shops in this country that will feed that bus fleet and others. Many of the instances, many of the broken down buses, go and ask the MD of Metromas or the Lolo people. In most cases, the buses are spoiled over minor faults. And the mechanics tell them that, oh, we don't have the spare parts, we're not going to import it from China. And it sits there for close to 1 month, 3 months, in some cases 1 year. So that tells you, so if you are bringing in buses, take advantage of that to expand your spare parts industry, formalize it. We cannot on daily basis continue to just rely on, what do they call it, the spare parts market. No, we cannot. Let us use many of these state interventions as an intentional mechanism.
Well, let's just try and see. At the moment, we're not too sure when the buses are going to arrive in the country. Of course, there's indication the bus will come, but before the buses do arrive, I mean, people are still struggling to get vehicles.
Yes,
so
but
what's the plan?
The plan is in the medium term.
Yes,
like I indicated. I know as a matter of fact that the government has directed, as a matter of urgency, for Metro Mass to, as quickly as possible, look at the fleets that are broken and those we can quickly fix and bring them back on the road. Same directive has been given to Ayalolo to work on assiduously. Then also, we are engaging with the private sector and ensuring monitoring as well to ensure that at least, if for nothing at all, there are speculations of deliberate withdrawal of buses, simply because people wanted to take advantage of a pricing window. And so government, through national security, is also effectively monitoring to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of many of these fears and to see how we can effectively engage the private sector to ensure that many of the fears that they have are handled in a way that can bring many of these buses we suspect are being pulled away to inform the pricing window for the private sector.
Because, there's a situation at Circle, at the lorry station. You see people queuing, and at the same time, you see so many cars parked.
Exactly.
You see people queued for hours.
Yes.
And there are buses parked, and you're wondering, are these buses not supposed to be working?
Many of them are. That is the point I'm making. They are trying to dictate transport fares. And so that is the private sector for you. And that is why it is dangerous for government to leave transportation to the private sector alone. And that's why in my initial submission, I indicated that there's a need for government to have an interest. But you see, Ms. Bao, whichever way you look at it, if the buses are there and are not operational, it is the responsibility of this government. It is not the responsibility of the NPP or United Party. It is the responsibility of the National Democratic Congress to ensure that those buses work. And I'm telling you on authority that discussions have started, engagements have started, and the national security is playing a critical role in that regard. The human face of the national security to ensure that at least we get many of these buses to move owned by the private sector. It is important for you to make me land in a way that is safe and sound. You see, so like I indicated, there's the need for us to develop a space pass. If you go to many Metro Mass, a novel introduction, you cannot take that credit away from the New Patriotic Party. And most importantly, to His Excellency President John Agyekum Kufuor, because it was an expansion of the OSA transport policy, Omnibus Service Authority, if I remember clearly. Because those days when we were growing up, these were the buses on our roads. So President Kufuor, largely maybe because of his exposure to the London system, also decided to expand it with the introduction of Metro Mass, a novel initiative. But what we realized that the problem had to do with the maintenance culture. Is it not possible for us in this country to have a national maintenance authority that would have regional offices and if necessary district offices that would not, mind you, rely on the consolidated fund for its survival? If Metro Mass is going to service there, they pay cash. If STC is going to service there, they pay cash, as we all do when it comes to our vehicles. Government should just provide that legislation and ensure that they do not do so on credit to government agencies. And be rest assured, the difficulty we have with maintenance in this country will be dealt with. I advocated for same, even for many of our state institutions. You have maintenance managers, they sit there, they are unable to work because they don't even have the resources. And so in many cases too, you have bulbs of state-owned enterprises going off, fans not working, ACs not working, including our own Parliament of Ghana. If you go to Parliament today, there are air conditions that have not worked for more than 2-3 years. MPs are unable to sit in their offices.
It's so serious, honestly.
Because of the maintenance culture.
Yeah.
Is it not possible for us to have another entity tasked with the responsibility of maintaining many of these state institutions, where when they go to render services, rather than just empty invoices and carrying debt away, they are obligated to pay for that maintenance authority to deal with it.
Yeah.
Even our airport, Terminal 3, many of the balls are beginning to falter. Bathrooms are beginning to malfunction. So it is an attitudinal problem and needless bureaucracy. I remember a politician in the United Kingdom, Tony Blair, described it as the inertia of bureaucracy when it comes to our public sector. You see, things are simply not working. But as a government whose responsibility is not to lament, like His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama indicated, our job is to fix these problems. I am quite convinced, Ms. Bao, that with the support of all of you, especially those of you in the media, you would continue to hold our feet to the fire.
So that I was just drawing your attention to something.
The expectations of the government.
You know, the idea to have this maintenance authority or maintenance, agency and put it at a district level. I think one of the things we should also seriously consider, especially when you have to do with transport, operation in our country, is we should try as much as possible to decentralize the operations, transport management in our country, because I struggle to understand why the people in Ablekuma are having a challenge with transport to get buses. And to solve that, we have to go to the Ministry of Transport to deal with the simple challenge that's happening in Ablekuma, which ordinarily the Central Municipal Assembly could have easily resolved it.
Oh, that's a good one.
You go to KJB, and we have to move from KJB all the way to Accra to the Ministry of Transport, wait for them to procure some 300 buses before we resolve the transport issues in KJB, when the KJB District Assembly could have easily resolved it. Maybe going forward, it's time for us to empower these district assemblies and municipal assemblies to seriously invest in transport, because I'm sure in London they do that. Even in New York they do that. They have their transport.
That's why I was saying that I don't believe, and I still maintain the point that because I'm in the sector, the government has to be involved in procurement. And
he is a private investor in that, so he's protecting the
No, not about the protection of interest. What have you been discussing?
He has been in that industry for over 10 years.
So when
that's the number of buses running.
When people are when you are given an
so there are those making it difficult for people.
You don't know what you do, because when people are given, let's say, Ayalolo, they were given 245 buses to start. Is that not the case? The presumption is that 5 years after that, you must not be seeing 245, but rather about 500 buses.
That's true.
The same with Metro Mass. In our case,
the MPP did not contribute to the fleet. So you just have to stay down.
The more government invests in the more we have reduced number of buses on the roads. And I keep telling you that anytime government involves itself in procurement, prices shoot up.
That's true.
They overinflate it. Nobody is saying man must not eat, but in this country they eat with both hands and legs.
And everything.
So the maintenance culture you are talking about, most of them, they are left with nothing to engage in maintenance. That is the truism. That is the reality of the day. And even when there are funds available, those are the maintenance units also inflate. They are going to buy ball joint. Ball joint at Abuso Kada will cost you about 1,000. At Metro Mass, they will sell it to you at 5,000. The one who is preparing it will say, so corruption is so much. That's why government must come in as the one providing the framework and the guarantee. Then the government's contribution will be the guarantee, because you don't provide guarantee and go and sit back. So in countries who are managing very well, when they provide the guarantee, then they also provide the authority. You go to Kyei, we have the Kyei Transport Authority. Nigeria here, we have their Lagos Authority that is managing their transport. That is where government would then intervene to regulate prices. Because you can also not leave it to the private sector to say that, go and do your own thing. You come in, you make sure that the buses are quality, the prices are okay for the ordinary Ghanaian, then we all move it. Either than that, when you leave it to government, they don't have the capacity. They don't have the these buses that they are coming. Look, the short-term measure. There is no bus company or bus manufacturing company that manufactures 30 buses or 50 buses are waiting for buyers. That will be putting your money in stock. So what is going to happen is that government is now going to order. So when you order, they have to manufacture. How long is it going to take for them to manufacture the buses, for them to even put it on sea, for it to get here. So it is not
I think we saw the Deputy Minister of Transport visit Egypt, I think some 2 or 3 months. We saw some of the buses.
No, those buses are even knowing. He visited when? 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, I think about 2 months.
Yes, because it has to go through the manufacturing process.
Deputy Transport, that was just about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, she was in Egypt.
It was just 3 weeks ago.
Yes,
They inspected.
They are now manufacturing.
Some are
buses
done
we saw were
Yes,
ready.
yes, because you see, no company manufactured buses and put them there expecting buyers.
Yeah.
Now you have to raise your financial instrument. If you are buying by a letter of credit or a guarantee or so, all these have to be. So it is not 2 or 3 months. But what we are talking about now is an immediate solution to the problem. I'm saying that we have buses. Come on, we're facing this issue in November. The buses are there, but the traffic situation on the roads. No private sector man who is paying huge interest rate at the bank will say, I'm parking my bus because I want to get what? Increased fares. Then how do you go and pay your loans?
No, Solo, but that's why I disagree with you.
No,
but when it comes to strike actions and the drivers declare strikes,
a lot of them, they don't mind them.
For 1 week.
It is only one.
But some do. And you
only 2 hours. They will go back and then go to their various
present the picture as though
what I'm saying is that
feasible. It is.
It is not just feasible that people park their buses 5 days, 10 days, and say that we are waiting fair increments.
People, the associations do. They direct.
But the GPR2, when people talk about GPR2, how many of them, what buses do they have? You go and have someone call himself bookman. He has never bought a tie before. He says he's a bookman, he's a GPR. He doesn't have any clue about what is happening. So let us begin to, as it were, like also decentralized. In this country, under the current dispensation, we must even begin to have feeders. For instance, the limited buses that are in the system, if you are coming from, say, Kaswa, there should be a system immediately where we will bring them to, say, Malam Junction for the buses to take them to the central business district. So we decongest for the time being. I have tracked all the vehicle lorry stations and I see the buses available. But it is just traffic. How many hours do you spend in traffic, even with the buses not moving? But the roads are supposed to be free with the buses not available. Is that the case? But is the case? Go on the road and go and see the traffic. Accra is supposed to reach 9 million population by 2050. If currently Greater Accra, we are having 4 million, this is the problem. The solution must be holistic. Go back to the rail. You go to London. London is not entirely, or the UK is not entirely government managing anything. They provide the framework and the private sector runs the buses and the train. You go to the UAE, it's the same thing. You go to, look, a city like Istanbul, it has a population of close to 20 million. How are they able to manage their traffic situation? Because they have invested in varied systems. We cannot continue to rely on road transport. I think it is a village attitude.
I think I agree.
A village attitude.
I agree with you. On a long term, we need to do that. Well, great.
But Ms. Bar, just the last point.
You know, I think yes, let me just...
he's coming to, but let us not create the impression as though we are also not managed our transport system very well. In the 50s and 60s, all this we are talking about was available. We had a running train, we had running buses. Buses had numbers that were designated. This one is going to Tudu, this one is going to... We have deteriorated as a country.
Let me just make quick thoughts from Ivan, then I'll come
I think maintenance is a culture, like you said. It's something that has not been imbibed in us. That is, over the years, we overlook some of these critical aspects, and very often the state invests in something and it goes away. I think setting up an authority might not solve the problem when it comes to, because it's something that is not in us. You understand? So I think we need to come up with certain initiative that will revive that culture, because you say it is a maintenance culture that must be revived. If you go to the various secondary schools, I don't know whether you've been to any of the secondary schools, look at the government bungalows, go and look at the building. Human beings are occupying it. But if you look at the nature, how dilapidated they've become, you will be shocked. But these are elite occupying these things, these houses. You understand? So for me, I think it's something that we need to revive as people.
It's an attitude and I think.
Exactly. You understand? Yeah. We need to take a critical look at it and see how we can revive that particular. And government will also have to come up with measures just to potentiate some of these efforts, so that at the end of the day, government will not end up investing money in areas where those monies will go waste. And again, when we are coming up with policy alternative and options like resolving some of these challenges, I think we need to do some proper consultation and engagement to be able to realize what will be effective. For instance, with this SkyTrain thing, we didn't need, at the time, as we speak, we don't even have trains that run on the ground. You were thinking about trains. You understand? So I think some of these options must go through proper consultative process so that whatever become the option will be viable one that will benefit the people of this.
Let me pick the thoughts of some of our audience.
Thank you, Mr. Zach, for this opportunity. This morning, my energy is very down, and I'm so sad. Ghana will be 70 years next year, hopefully next year, and we are actually sitting on the national discourse discussing the same issues. That even wasn't a problem during the early days we had our independence, and it's quite unfortunate. Discussing this matter about transportation, we always say we shouldn't politicize it. But we speaking the truth to ourselves as a country, we always know everything in this country boils down to politics. And I don't know how certain government in this country, certain party in this country, I don't know whether if it is in development they don't want or what, because a certain government will come and implement some policies and another party will come and erase it.
So do you support the 300 buses the government, you think is a good move?
Oh, I think it's a good move because currently we have to find a solution to this problem before we even go consider the long-term problem. The long-term solution rather. We are talking about transportation and we are saying it shouldn't be only by car or something.
Yeah.
A certain government came with an idea. When we are talking about transportation, we should be mindful that it's only not about here in Accra. It is not only in Accra people are finding it difficult to get cars to their various destinations. Let's go to Takoradi, somewhere 2012 coming to 2016. The then government constructed a railway from Harbour to Kojokrom that constitutes about 14.2 kilometers. At that time I was in SHS, so I had the opportunity to take train from my place to Takoradi Harbour every single day. Fast forward to after 2016, when another party came into power, and this train I was working before 2016 stopped working.
And since then it's not been working?
And since then it's not been working.
Interesting. Interesting. So what I understand, I'll come back to you guys and we'll get a thought from all of you on this subject and also on another subject. We understand Solomon has to be on our sister station and he needs to move very briefly. And for that, I've been prompted that we should pick a thought quickly on what's happening in the NPP, because we are switching to that now, having to do with the situation with Professor. No, that's the tag on them. And for saying that, he's been called before the disciplinary committee now. Yeah, just quick thought on it. Then we.
Well, I believe that Prof was right on that occasion.
He was right.
He was
with
right.
What?
We have been saying that this current NPP is Nana People's Party, and not the New Patriotic Party. The last I had an interview with you, one-on-one. Immediately we formed our political party. You asked the same question. I told you that this is not New Patriotic Party. It's Nana People's Party, and Prof has been with this party for so long. He knows too well the character, the make of the New Patriotic Party that he joined. And it is not the same party today. For instance, when last did the party conduct a top-down approach in terms of electing this flag bearer? When last? So if he's telling you that this is not a New Patriotic Party that I signed on to, why would anybody begrudge him? When last do you hear such a magnificent or a high altitude of a group of people who came together to loot? Looting brigade. It is so, something when I see people speak, with all indifference to my brother Kama, I'm very surprised he's able to defend the NPP.
Yeah, but nobody no court has put anybody in prison.
Your former finance minister says he won't come. You say no boss.
No court has given a verdict that somebody has looted.
Let me tell you something.
Those are your words. Nobody has been found guilty of.
The people have looted. The Auditor General has surcharged 2 personalities in their party, Gifty Owari and then Asibi.
And they are in court for that.
No, they are. For the Auditor General to surcharge means the Auditor General has concluded that indeed you committed that crime. 2 2.4 billion choppable money.
I mean,
what are we discussing this morning?
Contestant.
Who is contesting?
The
person contesting is begging that if the court is fast tracking it. That's why the judge is fast tracking the whole thing. Why are you fast tracking? Hey, if you have been accused of something and you believe that you are innocent, wouldn't it be in your interest that the case is dispensed quickly so that you deal with it? Now, a party, someone that does an interview at 9 p.m. The interview was held between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. The general secretary of the party is so unbusy to the extent that, I mean, he had nothing to do except to early morning, without consultation with anybody, say, oh, we have referred the matter to the National Executive Committee. Hey, only last year you were in this country when they said they have even granted amnesty to everyone. Those that were facing disciplinary actions, they had granted amnesty to them. Those of us that went, to join the better party, they said, after you should write application letter. But as for that one, it was never going to happen. Now you, the same person that signed the letter, comes back and say that unilaterally, you are referring someone to National Executive Committee. When your party's own constitution mandates you that if there is any disciplinary action, you send it to the disciplinary committee. Because that is where natural justice takes place. That is where Professor Frimpong Boateng will be allowed to also air his views why he made those statements that the party is in this world.
That's why he's been called to the committee to.
Which committee? He said NEC. It is disciplinary committee that's supposed to what? Recommend their actions to NEC for NEC to take a decision. Now, as part of the composition of NEC, you have regional chairman being part of it. Are you telling me that between Abonye and Professor Frimpong Boateng, Professor Frimpong Boateng's utterances ought to be subjected to disciplinary action as against Abonye's own? What about Buga? What about Wuntumi? What about what's the name of that? Koka also. When you have an elder with such a high level integrity like Professor Frimpong Boateng, you don't play with him. But the good thing is that what they are doing to Professor Frimpong Boateng, like he told everyone, he said there are virtual members of the New Patriotic Party. Those virtual members are actually the United Party members. All that they are waiting for is for us to have a final certificate, and they will come home. But what they are going through today, it is as though when you speak against bad tenants, they avoid it, they hate it.
Isn't that why maybe some of these things have festered in the party? The seeming, inability to instill discipline. Maybe that's what the party is doing now. Look, we are taking a new course of action. We want to instill discipline in the rank and file of the party. I mean, Professor Frimpong Boateng is a seasoned member of the party, and maybe comment like that should not be coming from him. And if the party is cracking the whip on somebody like Professor Frimpong Boateng, then every other person will act right.
The number of people who have made very dangerous statements, very highly inflammatory statements in the party comes nowhere near what Professor Frimpong Boateng did. In fact, he explained, he gave reasons why he called the party a fake party. Which of it I've explained to you? You can't tell me that a party that believes in the rule of law, a party that believes in everyone coming on board, you are going to hold your flag bearership election and you are charging 4.6 million, 46 billion OCDs. Professor Frimpong Boateng said, no, this is not NPP. It makes it fake.
Interesting.
You understand?
Yeah.
So nobody must downplay what Professor Frimpong Boateng has said. He has integrity more than.
Please, let me correct this.
Yeah. Are you correct?
No one in the party charged 46 billion for.
Hey, come on, what are you saying? No, but this is. But you must correct him.
No, you said billion.
46 billion.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
You mean
OCDs?
No, that is not true.
What is true?
Palpable.
It's not true. It's not true. Are you allowing us to go?
Excuse me. No,
please,
relax.
Please.
But why is he saying?
Let's correct it.
Let's just
development fee.
I'm coming. Let's get the clarification.
We charge 100,000 Ghana cedis to pick up the nomination.
Yes, 100,000. Let's go.
Then 500,000 for filing nomination.
And then 4 million.
600,000.
And the 4 million.
That is officially.
What are you talking
That's exactly
that
what the party
true.
charged.
No.
And as we sit here,
yes,
one of the contenders,
yes,
okay,
yes,
attest to this.
Yes.
He paid 600,000
It's not true. It's not
Ghana
true.
cedis. And he's in the contest.
No, but are you allowing
He's in the
this
contest.
Papa
So when you sit here, to lie,
how can you
because you have been given a hatchet job to do.
I don't want us to spend so much on this matter.
This last point. That is not. What was the reason? What was the reason for the withdrawal of Engineer Adenimu from the race? Do you remember?
Yeah, he mentioned it.
No,
what did he say?
I am saying
He did say that. Look, the party from what we heard.
Let me read for 5 verses.
In fact, from what we heard from Engineer Adenimu, he did indicate that beyond the 100,000 and beyond the 500,000, there was a 4 million development.
Absolutely.
That was
with all respect, which was not.
What are you talking about?
Okay, which was not a matter put on all the candidates by force.
How can you say that?
What we do
is it the case?
That's what I'm saying. You should not sit here.
Let's
Someone paid 4.6 million.
Solomon, land for me.
So in London, the lives of Kamala, the reasons why.
Don't run away. Sit down. Let me give it to you.
Classify them as fake
English.
Because if you come and sit here and you know very well that you charge 4.6 million choppable money. And you are telling us that someone refused to pay, and for that reason I am lying. Between you and I and the general public,
all right, great. Solomon,
it's unfortunate that I have to go to another place, but whatever he will say, I will have the opportunity.
Don't go away.
These are people who
just for those of you who haven't fully appreciated the issue we are dealing with, having to do the comment that were made by Professor Frimpong Boateng. We want to listen to him briefly. Kamala really wants Solomon to. Solomon, just stay a second just before you go. So,
no problem.
The presentation. All right, so let's listen to Professor Frimpong Boateng, what he actually said.
It's not good to your system.
Yeah. What I see now, it is not the MPP I used to.
But the question still stands.
The present MPP is not MPP, it's fake.
What?
Yeah. What I see now, it is not the MPP I used to.
But the question still stands. Do you still consider yourself a member of the MPP?
Not the fake one.
So which one is the real one?
The real one is there. It's a virtual thing, and the members are there in the background.
You think that...
Look at how they elected their last flag bearer, twist the arms of weak and...
This is for the 2024 election?
Yes. Twist people's arms, bribing delegates, and intimidating others to get a flag bearer. This is the beginning of corruption. And this should not be allowed in any serious situation or any serious party. And there were issues, we lost the elections badly, and we did not deal with the issues that led to the losses, and then we still want to go in there, and I think it would be a train wreck.
Surprised that you consider this as a free speech. This is somebody who has openly expressed his wish of not belonging to the membership of the New Patriotic Party, and we are taking the steps to grant his wish for him. This is a person who has been one of those who have contributed to the downfall of the party. If you go down there and ask the grassroots of the party, you will see the damage that Professor Frimpong Boateng has done to the New Patriotic Party. The party has constitution, we have laws. And when you go against the laws, then the party will apply the appropriate provisions on that. That is why the General Secretary has referred the matter to the appropriate provisions of the party's constitution. The formation of the New Patriotic Party was not by force, it was a voluntary joining. So if the person deemed it necessary that he doesn't want to be a member of the New Patriotic Party again, such as him, then we take the appropriate steps to grant him his wish. And the party will make sure that everything that is going to happen in this particular process is going to be grounded on the rule of law.
Now, welcome back. Now, Solomon had to leave us because he's rushing to our sister station, Adum TV, to also join them for their morning show. Now, we're still in studio with the guests, but let me come to you, Kamal, because you also had some thoughts you wanted to share. But the concern some people are sharing is that your party is now becoming one where if someone criticizes the party openly, that you want to crack the whip, you want to put everybody into silence, sort of. I mean, now how do you respond to that?
Well, thank you very much. Every society works with discipline. And every leadership comes with discipline. And every political party comes with norms, and if you like, constitution and regulations. And like our Deputy General Secretary, whose voice we just played, alluded to, it is a voluntary action you have taken. It is something that you have decided to do for yourself and for the party to join and uphold the good name of that political party. Now, if you say, Ms. Bao, or if you ask me, that our party has become a party where when anybody criticizes, we come after that person, I think it's rather unfortunate to go on that tangent. Why? We have a constitution which, of course, puts on all of us, each member of the party, some duties. And Frimpong Boateng, Dr. Frimpong Boateng, should know better as somebody who indeed prides himself as a senior member of this party. That's why I say every society has discipline, and every leadership comes with discipline. And if our leaders decide to be indisciplined, you would have to discipline them. Completely. Why am I saying this? Let's take what the constitution of the party says about duties of a member of the party. And with a great respect, listen to what the constitution of the New Patriotic Party says. Member, protect and promote the good name of the party. 2, protect the unity of the party. 3, be loyal and truthful to the party. Okay? And it goes on. 4, abide by and publicly uphold the decisions of the party. Carry out his or her duties faithfully and with honesty to the best of his ability, and it goes on and on and on. And of course, this is Article 4 of the party's constitution, as it were. That's why I'm saying that Professor Frimpong Boateng should know better, and not just he alone. Whoever, if not for mischief reasons, if not for abroad reasons, okay, wants the party to move on, you don't wash your dirty linen outside.
You think he's doing this because he just wants to?
And I'm saying that we, the young people, know better than what they're doing. I will not subscribe to a political party like the NDC. If a member of the NDC comes to sit here and want to run down the NDC publicly, that person ought to be criticized. And if there are measures for the person to actually be brought to book on that, let so happen. And so what did he say? These are disgruntled members. They were disgruntled members of a party who decided to leave the party and decided to call themselves some UP plus or whatever they are, whether they are mobile phones, I don't know what it is. Okay? With some 31,000 people, you sit here and then you want to talk as if our party, that of course has a tradition and that has come up. We have been in opposition before. It's not as if we have not been in opposition before. Under Jerry Rawlings, 19 years of misrule of Jerry Rawlings, the NPP was still in existence. Okay? We had our Dankwa club before we metamorphosed into a new patriotic party in 1992 thereabout, when the ban was lifted. Since then, we have run for over 30-something years. It's now taking some disgruntled members of the party like Sulu, former disgruntled members anyway, because he's no more a member, who enjoyed and now appear ungrateful to the party, wants to come out and sit down to chastise the party for taking steps to ensure that sanity prevails in the party.
What about the concern that we've seen the party crack the whip? We've seen individuals who have done things and the party did crack the whip. But we also saw the party, when it was time for elections, then the party decides to grant wholesale clemency of a sort. Isn't this maybe part of the reason why because people feel that they do this, then the party will come, all right, everybody come back home, let's resolve it, let's bury that hatchet.
Let us not trivialize it. Every society, of course, gets to a point where you say, let's reconcile ourselves. And political parties are not left out. Okay? And like I said, we have a constitution that guides us. At the constituency level, okay, at the regional level and at the national level, there are mechanisms put in place for discipline to be instilled in the party. That we all know. So if at constituency level, some decisions were taken, regional level, some decisions were taken, and national were taken, and national things that look for better cohesion and moving forward. Let us all drop this and then come together, issue an amnesty. Whoever has been suspended, let's come in and move. It does not mean that after doing this, a member of a good stature should go out there and sit on the media and chastise the party anyhow, baselessly, like what Professor Professor did. That doesn't mean.
Oh,
if an amnesty is granted, doesn't mean that it is a ticket for you to go out and then say anything when you have duties to perform as a member of the party.
What about the concern? Then maybe I'll come to Hamza on this. What about the concern that some say, and I've heard the General Secretary also speak on Asempere FM and a few other media houses, and some say that his posturing appears to be that he has already taken a stance on this, even before referring Professor Pumpong Boateng to the committee for him to get the hearing. Some say
taking a stand based on
a stance that he already has a position that he wants to be expelled. The punishment is already
this is a very huge platform, a respected platform for that matter, and we expect some of these innuendos to be nipped in the bud.
But we had your deputy general secretary say that they are helping him to be expelled from the party.
When you say it was already a prepared stance by our general secretary, and I asked you based on what? Why? You can't put something on nothing in the first place.
No, the general secretary said he will be expelled.
Yes.
So the point is that you have already referred him to the committee, and the understanding is that the committee will be given a fair hearing.
No, let's be fair to the general secretary. He said processes have actually been triggered to ensure that he's expelled from the party.
Yeah, but then you haven't given fair hearing, but you have already started to expel him.
Processes have been triggered. You see, there is. Let me read the Constitution again. Expulsion of a member is inculcated in our Constitution, clear. And if you want me to read the provision for you, I will read it now for you to see. And what warrants such an expulsion? Now, if this my brother sat here and said the interview was conducted around 9 p.m. and by the next morning, the General Secretary issued a notification or a communique to say that processes have actually been triggered. For that matter, he thinks the timing was too short and blah. I disagree. Why? As I sit here, if I should decide to take on my party, needlessly and baselessly, the next second, if the General Secretary or whoever is in authority is listening, it doesn't stop him and it doesn't stop any member to even petition that I should be expelled from the party. So for the General Secretary to have said that, I don't see why it's a problem. But if it was done yesterday, I think that the onus actually was on the good professor to have known that you have children. You have young ones growing. You are grooming them. And you gave birth to them to be better than you, not for you to continue to be better than them. You should have known that. Therefore, some of the things that they wouldn't even say, then you don't say it. How on earth can you come and say that you don't even see yourself as a member of the party? So it grounds the General Secretary's position that you should be expelled. You said you don't see yourself as a member of the party. First place. And we are talking about, so your loyalty is even questioned. And the party says you ought to be loyal to the party. Then again, you go further to say it's a fake party, denigrating the party. And yet you say the general secretary should sit down aloof and keep quiet, and nobody is saying that you shouldn't criticize. That is not criticism. When I sat here this morning, I told you we are going to even criticize this government. However, we will do that with circumspection. That's what I said. Yeah. When you are critiquing, okay, you must ensure that it becomes constructive. You must ensure that what you are saying holds weight. But you do not come to denigrate the name, the good name of your own party, and next time you say you are in the party, nobody can take you out. Please, this is an organization that we have all decided to subscribe to, and subscribe to the rules and regulations within it. For that matter, you cannot take the law into your own hands, no matter who you are. Nobody is above the law. No matter who you are, it has to be done. And of course, the amnesty we granted is not a ticket for anybody to sit down and run down.
All right, great. Let me come to...
We disagree.
I mean, we have seen this happen in your party before. We've seen a former Central Regional chairman of your party, suffer similar fate. We've seen, the former General Secretary, who has now become, I'm not sure what his status is now. I'm talking about Kokuya Yidohu. I mean, this is not new as far as the management of a political party is concerned.
No, this is absolutely new. And before I go on to why this is absolutely new and why you cannot compare that to what happened in the National Democratic Congress, I think after listening to my brothers on the possibility of a maintenance authority, still on the transport issue, I was trying to more or less give some relevance to the views being expressed. And instead of a maintenance authority, I think that it would be better for us to have it in the form of a limited liability company where the private sector can actually drive. But government just provides the needed legislation so that they will have that national outlook with regional offices, but largely driven by the private sector in terms of...
And a lighter note, I think you should register a company like that and then get it.
I'm not really that big. I'm not a businessman.
He's fine-tuning the idea. And then brilliant.
But, Ms. Bao, now to the substantive issue of the internal happenings of the New Patriotic Party. Many would wonder why, for those of us in the National Democratic Congress, would be interested in a matter of this nature. First of all, we are Ghanaians, and we are all at the beck and call of the 1992 Constitution. And it is clear under the Constitution that the New Patriotic Party is a public entity, and that enjoins each and every
Area abusuafo enti ensem no na yakọ aba no, but no kwasem ewom ni se transport ministry de ekoso wo ho no mekire ma adwen kakra sabi. This is why we didn't experience the regime of John Jerry Rawlings. Mega Brana John Rawlings etiase no sebi the regime from okay yemfa ne say military regime media nka ho, and they say military rule, but democracy from 1992 to 1996, right? So be this 4 years before say Kofo eji aban no afiri ni nsem 2000 na Kofo nso di free 2000 edeba 2008 na 2008 yewra Tamos enso de ba ABC 2012 and July 21st or 22nd, I stand to be corrected, yewra Atamos efiri mu ema John Dramani Mahama eto aso di free 2012 and on that same year 2012 no, on the 7th of December 2012 yetwaba ema sympathy vote mandisi for ebedisu yewra John Mahama any the vice president the late Amisa Ata yankopon fa ne kransi omunsu disu ko pem 2016 ema 2016 on the 7th of December 2016 omutwaba yewra Akufo-Addo on the vice president Dr. Alhaji Bawumia enso ebedi Ghana so from 2017 6th of January 7th of January to 2025 7th of January. The anti-American way history, and it is in a hierarchical order. History is history. Transport ministry nneɛma bi kɔ so wɔ hɔnom. Nneɛma bɛn wohwɛ from JJ Rawlings bɛpem John Dramani Mahama the second term yi a waba yi so ya. Abusuafoɔ no kwasɛm ɛwɔ mu ni sɛ JJ ne ruling no exceptional. I'm telling you, JJ, how I know si rule Ghana, how I know si tutu ne nneɛma, osi yɛ ne nneɛma no, na exceptional. Why am I saying exceptional? Ye tete nneɛma so a the whole country obiara bɛtete ne deɛ so. Ye to nneɛma mu a the whole country obiara bɛto ne nneɛma mu. Ye use this price tag for this particular goods and services. The whole country, everyone is gonna use that price tag. But ye me say since John Rawlings free so from Kofo ABC Yewra John Mahama the second term, obiara ni ope okurum ha. Ye ka say fuel price. I just say be a fuel price no ya ban ni sa nyama no. But lorry fare ya te so obekom no obi ji ha. Nansia mi ankasa me di me hu dom kakra. Na ohwe mate no bo na omo gigi na omo hwe wanim na se saa kwan no wunya mfa so da. Anaso omo hwe wanim na se wo ye obi a wunnim kwan so no mo hu se wo ye hoho na mo di abo mu tim say ye 5 cedis no mo ajo 5 cedis 50 pesos. These are the things they are doing. But in Jerry John Rawlings regime, no, you can't. Because na emrani ye juma. Udi agre beba be frewa bochima. This is what will happen. A ma santifo bibri omo enya tanbi edema sebi John Rawlings. Because na santifo no ko honoma omo ye di omo pe. John Rawlings so ne no ompe ni se wankasa udu timbe ye di ope. Ombra wa shembra si yenyisi. Mi ankasa mikurum eni mabusuafo no mo mpe na asem because petrol ton ni sa ne manema bi Rawlings begina hono mo ton ye wi akire na tesa kofa nsem bibre e di aba. Injustice in this country no etore bia na reach ni peak. Injustice sa perepere ye de beye adwuma okurum ane ye mfa nye adwuma obia ye de ope obia di ni timu na nke si den e na ye de price tag ato hono se from korono ko aye amuka se afrancho aye Ashanti region ye gi ebia 6 cedis na driver anase mate beka se adiasa entimi medu 10 cedis. How on earth can this thing happen? Adiasa so adiasa and ye adwuma na wo ye no, what is the sense of it? Why don't you go to your place or go to your home or whatever? Now on for vacancy one, but you decided to work there. Then what day will you come out and say adia senti me give me price and me pay? And that is what is happening in Ashanti region. Me e bia to me pay. Emre bi me ko baby ana me ba be do Ashanti region. Be do Ashanti region na me ni one of my extended family me in law baako and enam. And asemo kan ni say adia sana enkofo no from KJTia to what do you call it? From KJTia to offenso say I was so much 20 cities on bet imagine 30 cities. On bet imagine 30 cities because a basa na adiasa traffic room enti obia e pre ne ho se obinya na o ma fa ho na mo di ebu passengers. I was said transport ministry no John Dramani Mahama we nyina adwuma ye wo MP sorry o minister ho ye wo deputy minister ye wo those form committee a mo ministry honom we are assignment I was omotena say no mo making sure say all these things would be what solved because obi asori opentemo kwa adwuma say video na me hwe it was very disgusting because the way na akwabi friend ho KMA member wajimi ana osi bro mate no na nya asenketo although the mate no even when the mate is at fault or the driver is at fault it doesn't warrant you to raise your hand on the person because we are not in a military regime. So be jim we ko jine baby aka say me bo because we bumra so. No, that is why we have the constitution. Your 1992 constitution abide by every citizen in this country. It is obi a bonia omfa okese omfa ahodin bi awo omfa position bi awo enko intimidate nipa no by physically harassing the person. You get it? And it's we I was almost solve and this are a bit also chaotic, very I mean a bit also harm in this country. And you know, it's a transport ministry is one of the ministry a hold the Ghana economy no apart from exports, imports, your goods and services are your eco na ebano. Transport ministry no one of the key ministries are always your tax GPRTU for and more car drivers union ni sa nyama no on say na taxes no mudio no mo e dia iden mo dia ma ban no enti ya nhwe ni ye na ekoba se periperi ye bi nkoso enima bi nkoso na enkofo enya adwumpo bi se sesese na eko na mo tie tua this nation will be ungovernable for NDC. John Mahama president, Mame Opoku Ajiman vice president, the Ministry of Transport, saying one minister, one deputy, no, making sure say things will be done right because Ebasa now, and people will start complaining. Let me tell you one thing about Ghanaians. Ghanaians can be fed. You beat me Didi Kama. You stomach bayama, you business got to a bottom. But a drew campaign. Now kakase fin and I say drew as in a drew buma now kakase fin be the better eating compared to the bekayo. I'm telling you, the bekayo a business sort to a bet yaw. A business sort to a bet yaw. Akufado, go and ask number of people do buko free seekers. Say communina so more trouble bomia. Enka I am not sure, baby, I'm not sure senka bomia enwini. But do you know what? And Kofono do buko free seekers na. O my come di ebinum. Enti omonzu ebinum fa camera si omuni di atem ka say come di omo enti ombeto agbaeti ano. Omo ancheki scanner ma ejon ma sorry. Akufado etua from form 1 o ko school first SHS etua kan from form 1 first term second term ewom sa 9 terms to form 3 obedro no. Because term bi amoka zen year bia wom 3 terms na watue ni nyina beto mo andwen ho kosua ba akwa no munye ni e number akwa na enda so nti no kokko bia no mu repeat na bread nka ho. What's your story? You no question me. I'm telling you, Ghana for sanity, you don't care about the dollar. You do now can adibia, you better refresh your mind and will make sure say you vote against you. This is the truth, and the politicians they know it. Omuni, I mean America. I know Crown American politicians no money. I am in America. Omuni. Akufado koka say fijase kwa bre for mo pom to abom pom jai he. Asem we tom team say and pass off just kwa bre for am to abom NPP. Omo MP kro mu yini fi ho. Now you Dr. Kokoti in the baba yo. So that is it. Anything about electorate and politics, you have to be very smart and know how to deal with it. Anyway, I just a test case for John Mahama and in the ministry. Yes, the money Jumana and go for him and him. Bye bye.